Well, the Ole Miss Rebel season is over. Nice run that it was. We'll look ahead to the future. What will their program look like post Lane Kiffin's building process? That is the topic today. Also, a look at Miami and their performance in that game. What did it says about them? But first, hit that subscribe button if you would. Help us grow. Appreciate you joining us. If you want good information and evaluations from a veteran NFL coach and scout, that's what we're here to provide you for. Hit that subscribe button. It's free and help us keep it free. Well, Ole Miss, impressive run. They've been the darlings of the playoffs, the abandoned children, so to speak. First of all, I give all the respect in the world for the players who had to deal with this. I do agree that it was a mess for them to have to deal with. There's no question about that. What I disagree with is the fact that who's to blame? The blame is the calendar. Blaming Lane Kiffin, blaming LSU is one of the dumbest narratives I've seen out there. It's from uneducated people who really don't have a clue. There's really nothing you can do. There are certain statuses in college football. LSU is considered by the coaching profession. Again, doesn't matter what fans think. Doesn't matter what anybody thinks. Doesn't matter what I think. People that are candidates are going to leave for the LSU job 10 times out of 10, maybe 9 times out of 10. It's a different level. In 10 years from now, if Ole Miss can repeat what they've done this year, then maybe that status will grow to be up to the level. 1 year doesn't do it for you. What are you going to do? Lane Kiffin didn't leave Ole Miss. He wanted to coach the team. He left Ole Miss to go to a better job. Okay? He wanted to coach the team. Ole Miss decided they did not want him. That's their prerogative. That's that. Let's put that to bed. That's over and done with. Let's talk about the players that had to deal with it. I do think that the players dealt with it very well. I thought the coaches that handled the back and forth did it about as seamlessly as you can do. But make no mistake, this program, as any program, is built by the director of the program, the head coach. This is a Lane Kiffin built program. Just like Nick Saban built his program, Kurt Cignetti's building his, whatever. He put the pieces in place. Yes, a lot of people had success. Just like when Nick Saban, you think Nick Saban did all the work? I did a lot of work for him. I can tell you, there's a lot of people that are responsible for that. But Nick was the one that put it in place. He put the infrastructure in place. Ole Miss is better off today and are poised to have more success than they've had since the 60s, early 60s. They're poised to do that because of the infrastructure that Lane Kiffin put in. I hear this where they're winning without Lane Kiffin and they made this run. No, they didn't. They won because of Lane Kiffin and because of the staff that stayed and the staff that stayed back and forth. They did a really good job. And the players did a good job. All of that is a byproduct of everybody involved, including the guy that put it together. Now, and I always tell people when you're going to evaluate a program going forward, the further you are from the previous guy, the more you can learn about what the new guy is going to do. So as Ole Miss goes into this offseason and next season, we're going to learn and see what type of head coach Pete Golding is going to be. Now, I'm going to give you some thoughts. I think Pete Golding might be a better head coach than he ever was defensive coordinator. You know, Pete struggled. He basically got booted out of Alabama because Nick Saban got frustrated with him because his teams do not play with a lot of discipline. His teams are misaligned a lot. They're aggressive. So aggressive defenses will take chances. They're going to make big plays, but they're going to give up big plays. Not what Nick Saban wants and what elite coaches want. Defensive coaches want. They want to be able to create big plays, but not put themselves out of position. This Ole Miss defense is in the bottom 5 in the country of 130 plus teams in tackling. Worst certainly the worst tackling team in the playoffs, the worst tackling team among, again, over 120 programs tackle better than Ole Miss. Really bad. You saw them make some plays, but they miss a bunch of tackles. And they did it all year long. They overcome. I think it was the offense all year long that kind of carried them. Last year, I thought Ole Miss's defense was pretty good, but they still weren't really good leveraging plays, tackling. So I don't know that they're going to suffer at all from Pete Golding not being the defense coordinator. Hopefully, they'll be better fundamentally. But I think Pete Golding did a really good job leading this team through tough times. I think he showed a lot of character and things. I know he took shots here or there, but he galvanized this team. He got this team ready to play. And I think that's a good sign. Now, the infrastructure's in place. He doesn't have to build an NIL program. Lane Kiffin got that organized. Other people did the legwork, built it. But Lane Kiffin's the architect of it, just like Nick Saban, built his programs and how he was going to do it at Alabama. This is a new era, and Lane Kiffin, Kurt Cignetti at Mario at Miami are all putting together programs. Oregon does it well, NIL programs that obviously other people have to do the work for it to be successful. But they're the leaders. They're the reasons. They're the architects. So I think Ole Miss is in a much better position to go forward and be successful. But how successful would they be? Certainly, we're not going to know that, quite frankly, till about 3 or 4 years down the road. Meaning, I think the early success will probably come due to the fact that the infrastructure is there. I do think that, hopefully the administration at Ole Miss will, and I think they will, because they want to have success. They don't want it to slip. And because there's such animosity with Lane Kiffin, slipping means that, hey, we're not as good without Lane Kiffin. I think it's going to be hard for them to match what they've done under Lane Kiffin. But they're in a position because the infrastructure has been put into place where they can have success. 2-3 years down the road, if they're not winning as much and they're not contributing as much, they're not doing things as well, then you can start to see kind of what Pete's going to be able to do and put his touches to it. So, a couple of things on the game. I thought Miami overcame really bad game plan. Miami won the game. First of all, defensively, they dropped multiple interceptions. Trinidad, great story, great run, made some plays, but really was rattled a lot through some pick. He threw basically 3 picks that Miami just dropped. There were mistakes there. This game could have been a blowout. Defensively, I thought Miami created pressure. I thought they played the ball well. They just didn't catch the ball. They gave up some plays. Didn't think they would shut out Ole Miss's offense. They did a very good job outside of the fact that they had ways defensively to close out this game and they could not do it. Offensively is where Miami messed this game up. Yeah, they scored points and they won. But again, part of understanding and doing this as a coach and as a scout is to sing through the result. Miami had massive advantages up front. They threw the football downfield way too much. They could have had this game controlled. They would not have to have come from behind to win this game. They were moving the football, moving the line of scrimmage precipitously, and got away from it. And, put themselves in 3rd and longs that did an effective job at times, but really caused themselves some missed opportunities to control the football longer and keep Ole Miss's offense off the field. This was the dumb Miami. We talk about smart Miami. Smart Miami not only was dangerous heading into this playoff, smart Miami is going to win the national championship. Dumb Miami, like they played against Ole Miss, they're going to lose to either Oregon or Indiana. Pure and simple. when you can, and I don't think they're going to control the line of scrimmages nowhere near as easily against Oregon and Indiana. Ole Miss doesn't match up from a physicality standpoint. They play with quickness and angles, tempo. Miami, with their playing foot to foot on the offensive line, mass beats ass kind of approach that they have, the stunt game is not going to be successful. You notice that the movements came when they brought outside pressure and created movement for the offensive line of protection, and then they brought guys up the middle. They did a good job in that regard a couple of times. But Miami, by running the football, controlling the game, they could have salted this game earlier. I thought they left points on the field because of play calling. I mean, Ole Miss left points on the field because they were not able to make plays against Miami's defense, not from poor play calling. Miami got away from what their strength was, and that's running the football. Yeah, you run it, you wear down Ole Miss's defense, you keep it away from their offense, and then you've got a chance to make big plays in the passing game on odd downs. You know, 2nd and 2. You can take a shot because you know you're going to get a first down. You know, did Ole Miss come close to stopping Miami in those 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 4th and 2 type situations? No. In the end, even on the run by Carson Beck to put Miami ahead for good, it was the running game with enough time that allowed them to have success. Having to throw it all the time gets them in trouble, and it takes it away from what they do best, and that's control the line of scrimmage and dictate to the defense. And Ole Miss drops guys and plays in coverage, run the football over and over again until they put numbers in the box, then you throw it. I didn't think they did a good job with that. Now, on the other hand, I thought Miami did a great job with their screen game. Again, you're going to screen a team to death that can't tackle. So they did some good things, but by getting away from their running game, I thought they put this game in peril, and I thought they were, quite frankly, a better team when they play well and more complete than Georgia. Georgia couldn't throw the football. Miami's got playmakers. Miami's got a good screen game. Georgia is a little more downhill run, throw it deep. Miami can run a screen game very effectively. Miami can run the football downhill even better than Georgia can this year. So those are the things that I thought that, quite frankly, that even with a very subpar offensive game plan and how they called plays in this game, they were able to overcome that and beat Ole Miss. So the whole Miami, where they are, the Miami program is on very solid ground. But what they have to do is become a little bit better in some of those seamless, timeless issues. Learning from it is the key. People tend to want to define coaches by what they have been, that's who they are, and they're never going to change. How many people stay the same? How many of you you are what you are and you've never gotten better in your life, in your job, or anything else? Of course, everybody changes, hopefully for the better in most cases. I think Miami under Mario is proven that if you have some patience, because that thing struggled at the beginning. They wanted Mario out for a couple of years now. The lack of patience, lack of building something. So keep that in mind out there, regardless who your team is. If you're doing some things the right way and you have the ability to correct the things that are not going well, that's the key to ultimate success. Change often brings about a recycle of going through the whole process that you've been going through before, and it takes you that much longer. And as I always like to say, it's like building a house, getting to the point where you're starting to put things, and then breaking it to the studs and starting over again. You never get to move in. So what does this mean for Miami going forward? I think Miami is in good position. Ole Miss, as I said, the infrastructure put in place by Kiffin gives them a chance to be successful. Are they going to be as successful going forward? I don't know. We're going to see. That's what we're going to find out. We're going to find out with everyone. It doesn't matter what your abilities are. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It only matters what you're going to do going forward. So we're going to see how things play out. Is Pete Golding going to be able to hire a staff as good as Lane hired? I do think that Pete can lead a team and galvanize a team. I think he can motivate players. I think that part he's got in him. It's the other things that are integral. He learned a lot from Lane. He learned a lot from Nick. He learned a lot from every place that he's been. How can he be himself but implement those things going forward? It's going to be pivotal, and we'll see. Won't be as easy, because again, as things change, you now have to make the decision, whereas before you had to do it. I mean, Charlie Weiss Jr., you could make the argument that as a play caller, he's really developed. Why? Because he's learned from Lane Kiffin, one of the very best at it. He could stay at Ole Miss where he would be the guy, but he prefers to go where he can work for his mentor, Lane Kiffin, and learn more so that he can perhaps get a job that's even better, maybe a head coaching job. That's where he is. Pete's in a situation as a first-time head coach that has got really good leadership skills, and probably, I think, if he puts together a really good staff defensively and offensively, then I think you can sustain the success. If it drops off, it's only going to be because he's not able to do that as well, and because everything is in place. They're paying well, facilities are good, the NIL is good, but can it sustain? Will they continue to sustain? That's going to be key. Appreciate you joining us. Again, hit that subscribe button. We always appreciate your support. Keep the podcast free. So hit that subscribe button, share, like as well. Appreciate you joining us. Talk to you again next time.